Welcome. Here's me and Evo Athena crafting our KMCS suits. I use the brown and she uses the green. Hopefully it won't be too long till we get back out, but as you can see, day by day our seasons are changing, especially here in Northern Ireland. Each time I go back to my local forest, it has rapidly changed. And that's the life of a ghillie sniper, constantly adapting. Welcome. This is another episode brought to you by the Lockdown Productions. I'm on my 1 hour exercise walk and I thought I'd bring the camera and do a little episode for you. On today's episode we're going to be looking at the Runcam 2, which I use for all my gameplay videos, and we're going to be putting it up against the Runcam Lite. Now the Runcam Lite is about £40 or $40 cheaper than the Runcam 2, possibly even more than that, but is it a lot better? Now, I'm going to be putting them up against each other. Everybody knows that I'm into my cameras and my filming gear. I use cinema cameras, I use mirrorless cameras, GoPros, everything throughout my daily jobs. So I know what I'm talking about, so let's put it up against each other in terms of quality of the image, and also see does it hold up build quality wise. I'm not going to give you the exact dimensions and weight of these cameras. I'm just going to give you my opinion, and that is that both Runcams feel very plasticky. The Runcam 2 does have this metal cradle that adds a bit of weight and I guess a bit of strength to it, but other than that it doesn't feel much different to the cheaper camera. Both take micro SD cards and get charged by a micro USB on the back. I would have preferred a Type C USB. It seems a wee bit sturdier and also transfers footage quicker. As you can see, the Runcam Lite is actually way longer, however it doesn't have a metal cradle, making it lighter. It just has the plastic mount. The extra length is probably because it's 40mm against the Runcam 2 35mm lens. This is the first problem that I'm having with the Runcam Lite. I managed to connect it and then it just lost connection in the app. I do have it on in the Wi-Fi. If I go back to Runcam, connect your camera, it's coming out with a failure. Just on a side note, here's a little tip for you. Anytime that you're out on a wee forest walk, it's always good to get some footage. So get out your iPhone or your camera or whatever you have available and just film everything around you. Little bits and pieces, leaves, bark. Just check out the colours. I then take this footage back and I apply it to the ghillie suits and see what's what. What a glorious, glorious day. This is one of my favourite wee netto spots. We come down here and we chill out a lot. It's nice and safe for the girls. Last year it was Evo Athena's birthday and I came down here and did it all up and put some fairy lights and some balloons and all up. And my parents picked her up, so we had a bit of a surprise party. She just thought that she was going for a walk, and in actual fact she came around the corner and her birthday picnic was here with the family and everything. It's kind of strange because this year we won't be able to do anything, but we'll think of something. Everybody, it's Evo Athena's birthday coming up this week, so make sure you wish her a happy birthday. It's really good to see the crops going well. Man, it's bad enough on game days I forget everything. Luckily I've been fortunate enough that I've never forgotten any camera recording equipment yet, touch wood, but I forgot my microphone for this camera, so if you can't hear me very well, that's why. But you gotta get the shot, that's the most important thing. It's not always about quality, it's about your gameplay, it's about your story. I've tried to keep it that I edit my gameplays as little as possible in terms of what's happening, so you get a full gameplay, but I just take out all the slow bits. I don't die a lot because I try to stay hidden as best as possible. I do go after objectives, as you've seen, and I just do calculated risks. I know in airsoft it's very, very easy to get caught up with the fact that you've got multitude of lives. However, I prefer to avoid all that. I try to play airsoft without dying. I try to cover angles as best as possible, give myself the best vision and give myself the best chance possible of survival. And this is, sorry for interrupting myself, but this is now really, really thick. I don't know if you've been watching my Instagram and things, but Eva, Athena and I tend to come down here and get photos and things like that, take the girls for walks, but none of this was here like a few weeks ago, so you can see like how much everything is growing. These branches were probably way up high, but now they've got this weight of leaves. The branches are down low, so that's something to think about whenever you're ghillie crafting. So I'm trying to find a nice clear area to do this range test, show you the different focal lengths, i.e. one of my Runcams is 35 and the Runcam Lite is now 40mm. Tree there, the really thick one in the centre, it's probably about 20-25 metres away. Runcam, what are you doing to me? So I've now trying to use my original Runcam to do a distance test out to that lovely meadow, and came back just out of interest to watch the footage back, and I've lost half the footage for some reason. It just stops. Jeez, that was a bit of a disaster. So if this was an unboxing, this would be the shortest unboxing video ever. It'd be this. Manual, camera, granted I've already put the battery in it, and USB. That's it. So if you don't have much rail space, you may want to get a scope adapter. And now just to show you some distances. I've been using the 35mm, and for a one dual gun it hasn't been too bad. It's very rare where I've got a line of sight of more than 50 or 60 meters, so it still does well. The Runcam Lite just gets you that extra little zoom just to make it a wee bit clearer. Both cameras suffer from the automatic exposure. It never seems to nail it properly, and even GoPros struggle with this as well. I changed the automatic exposure to center weighted because ideally I want what my scope is looking at to be exposed correctly. Another thing you need to be aware about is that the focus plane on these cameras is from about 20 meters and further. Therefore, if anything is closer, it'll look slightly out of focus, as you can see in Evo Athena's picture here. And the same applies with the Runcam Lite. If you look at the background, it's super sharp, but compared to Catherine, who's about 15 meters away, is very out of focus. There's nothing we can do about this. Unfortunately, these cameras have a fixed focal point. It's the same as GoPros, however they have a wide angle lens, which don't suffer as much as telephoto lenses. Another problem that I've discovered with these cameras is that they have used cheap lenses with no IR filter, meaning in the shadows you're getting a lot of red. This clip is color corrected, however whenever I take my color correction off, you can see Catherine's black coat turns slightly reddish. It's not too much of a problem, but it's something to think about when you're editing in post. Airsoft videos take long enough to edit. Ideally, you don't want to be spending a lot of time on this. Both cameras can do 1080-60p, but the Runcam 2 also has the added function of being able to choose from being a wide, medium or narrow lens. The Runcam Lite in this firmware doesn't appear to be able to do that. As you can see in this overlay, the narrow setting of the Runcam 2 is the same size as the 40mm lens on the Runcam Lite. In this next shot, I had set the camera to a sunny day white balance. However, once again, it had left me with this awful red image. I was able to color correct it, as you can see, but it's just another process that you don't want to have to do. This is a professional color chart. It's designed that you film it at the start of your shoot, and it gives you the perfect colors for reference. But as you can see, the footage coming out of the camera is far from perfect. One of the features that the Runcam Lite has that the Runcam 2 doesn't have is the ability to record in 1440p. This is an oversized square ratio compared to 1920 by 1080p, which is the regular viewing format. This means I can drop on my scope overlay and move my footage up and down until the crosshairs are right. To be able to do this with 1080 footage, you would have to zoom in the footage first, making it slightly more pixelated. One thing about the 1440 resolution is you can't film at 60p, meaning you can't film at the higher frame rate, so you can't do slow motion as smoothly, nor can you see the BB coming out of the gun clearly. At 24p, you normally see the BB leave the muzzle, but by the time it takes the next frame, because there's less of them, the BB's already travelled so far so that you can't see it. So I prefer to film at 60p. Comparison wise, Runcam Lite versus the Runcam 2. The Runcam Lite is a great camera for the price range. I would definitely recommend it for people. Get yourself an extra battery and away you go. That comes in at about £100, or I think maybe even $100, I can't remember. I've criticised the cameras really harshly, but I think it needs to be. We have great cameras for drones, for FPV and radio control cars, everything. We have really good cameras for that, but for airsoft I think we're lacking a wee bit. I think that the camera companies have the technology to build an even better scope cam, one at 4K at 60p with stabilization. That would be the dream camera. Oh, and one other thing is dynamic range. It'd be great to see a camera with really good dynamic range. Or maybe a cinematic airsofter will just develop his own scope camera company.